global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them. Crises precipitate change.
Secretly plotting your demise. I want to devise a virus.
Hello everyone, Darko2012 here with Global Government News, and this is part 202 of the Pentagon shooter. Authorities knew that they were aware of the Pentagon shooter, basically. I changed the title, but yeah, it's a two-parter, and I'm going to try to get into the actual stories here and just read them off. You got my views as far as this guy. You know, whether he's legitimate or not, dude, it's so hard to say. All I know is that they are using everything to demonize the right, and I'm not talking about fascist Republicans, and I'm not talking about fascist Democrats. I'm talking about, I'm just talking about, you know, regular Americans, whether they are lean more towards the liberal side or towards the real conservative side. You know, they have a lot of gripes with the federal government, and so the federal government knows that you know, they need to hold strong and do what they need to do to maintain their power, and they need all the security that they can get. So, all right, so this guy, John Patrick Bedell, who allegedly, right? This is what they're saying. They're saying allegedly because they snatched up some. What is it, Nigerian, not a Nigerian, but a, like, Liberian or something like that. Someone from the continent of Africa, and, you know, they arrested him and didn't even question him. They just detained him for hours. But basically, this is what he's a suspect, he's alleged. They don't even know whether it was him or not yet. And so, already, they've connected this man with 9/11. They've connected him with marijuana laws. Let's see here. And they've connected him, or not really connected him, but they're trying to, right? They're trying to make a connection that's not there, saying, did right-wing extremism lead to the shooting? And, you know, I read down to these comments here, and it's like, you know, does the fact that he was a registered Democrat, a truther, a pot legalization advocate, throw out any doubt on the accuracy of this article? And all these comments are saying, you know, oh, I like the way the media has morphed trutherism and blah, 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 conspiracy theory to an anti-government conspiracy theory. Who knew so many Democrats were anti-government? And it says, let's see here, how in the world can the media twist this to say he was a right-wing extremist? If anything, he was a left-wing extremist. His views were anti-military and not anti-government. Every attack that has been made on the Pentagon has come from the left-wing nuts or jihadists. Now, I'm not supporting that statement completely, but you know, you get an F. Title does not match substance. This is sad. Anything to smear Republicans. It makes me sick, and I'm a libertarian. This guy is a registered Democrat. So you see what's going on here, guys? Just like the what was it? The person down in Alabama. I believe it was a woman, and I'm trying to remember what the incident exactly was. My memory is drawing blanks here, but if anybody knows, you can post it on the comment board. As someone down in Mississippi or Alabama, it was a woman, and they said that it was a right-wing extremist, and it turned out that she was a registered Democrat. So, and same with Joseph Stack, the IRS person. You know, his beliefs tend to lean towards being a leftist. But anyways, here you go. I'm not saying leftists are bad or right, you know, whatever. It says John Patrick Bedell, whom authorities identified as the gunman in the Pentagon shooting on Thursday, appears to have been a right-wing extremist with virulent anti-government feelings. If so, that would make the Pentagon shooting the second violent extremist attack on a federal building within the past month. On February 18th, Joseph Stack flew a small aircraft into an IRS building in Austin, Texas. Yeah, that little aircraft made a humongous explosion, almost like he was packing explosives in there, you know. Mr. Stack left behind a disjointed screed in which, among other things, he expressed his hatred of the government. And, you know, dude, there's a lot of people that hate the government right now. You know what? They're probably thinking the same thing, but it just makes it, this is part of the mind control, is it gets people thinking, oh, he was against the government. oh, that means if you're against the government, you're gonna fly planes into buildings, and you're gonna go and shoot federal buildings. Oh my God, yeah. No, you can still hate the fucking government, and you can still not have to do ridiculous acts like that, because you can respect life and you can respect property, and then and don't buy into this provocateuring false flag bullshit, people. I know half of these people are listening to this don't, and good for you, but you gotta wake up your fellow humans, because they got their heads up their asses and they don't even see what the hell this is all about. Details of Mr. Bedell's case are still emerging, but writings by someone with his name and birthday posted on the internet express ill will towards the government and the armed forces. See, against the armed forces, and question whether Washington itself might have been behind the 9/11 attacks. However, law enforcement officials have yet to publicly state their theories as to Bedell's motives. I have no idea what his intentions were, said the chief of the Pentagon Police. According to Cavill, Bedell was a California native who slowly made his way to Washington by car over the past several weeks. At about 6:40 p.m. on Thursday, Bedell, dressed in a business suit, approached an entrance to the Pentagon that is linked to the Washington's metro system. Asked for identification, he pulled out a semi-automatic weapon and opened fire. And like I said, this is just like the Abdul Muttalib, who was later found to be an informant for intelligence agencies. This is just like Sirhan. This is just like all the other people that have said that they've been little assassins or shooters and stuff like that. They say, oh, they had an emotionalist. Oh yeah, here, the Fort Hood, right? He had an emotionalist look on his face, right? That's what they always say, and it doesn't say in this article, but in the original article it did. Said it looked like he had no emotions in his face, right? And that's usually the telltale sign that they're either if they're not on some kind of psychotropic drugs or something like that, they're either taken off of it immediately, or they're under some kind of mind control handling program, right? Like the guy, the Virginia Tech shooter. Oh, he was emotionless. He had no expression on his face. It was so spooky, And it says, because of this is one of the most fortified points of a fortified building. Bedell would have had to make his way past several lines of security to reach the Pentagon interior. And so there you go. Just like the Christmas Day bomber who was with a sharp-dressed man, reportedly, right? And, he was helped, right? He was helped. He should have been on the no-fly list. His visa should have been taken away. His parents told the authorities about it beforehand, and yet somehow he made it onto the plane with no passport. He did not get far. Two officers immediately returned fire, with a third running to assistance. So we may actually find out that this person was escorted with somebody, right? Bedell was fatally wounded in the exchange. Two officers were wounded, but since have been released. He just reached in his pocket, pulled out a gun, started shooting at point-blank range. He walked up very cool. Here we go, guys. Here we go, because I'm reading this for the first time. He walked up very cool. He had no real emotion on his face, right? So there you go, guys. These are the little tips of little nuggets that little scraps that we get, right? And you're not saying you got to hang on to every little piece and make a big, humongous theory out of it. But at the same time, maybe he was legitimately pissed off, and maybe he did what he did. But all I'm saying is there are telltale signs of certain things that occur when it comes to the government allowing themselves to be attacked, so that they can make themselves into the, quote, victims. Remember, problem, reaction, solution. So we'll see what the solution will be. To be honest, what the solution is they win, right? These guys win, these bastards win, because every time it just makes them into the victim. So then it justifies all the going after, quote, lone wolves, right? When they reauthorized the Patriot Act recently. Go after lone wolves, people like this, right? Because this is my point, guys. It's, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy because when you talk about anti-government, well, our forefathers were anti-government, and so anybody that talks about anti-government is now going to be associated with these people, right? So this is mind control in itself. These articles, So just be aware of that, and thank you for checking this out.